Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Nancy Furness, and this is We've Got Issues. Today's interview is taking place at MLA Rick Glumac's office in Port Moody, and we are on the ancestral and stolen lands of the Coquitlam, Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, Stolo, Musqueam, Katzie, Kwantlen, and Kakite peoples. So today I'm being joined by Lou Okruhlica, and we are talking about some land that he would like to see protected on Burke Mountain. And Lou is a resident of the Burke Mountain area. So thanks so much for joining us today, Lou.
Thank you, Nancy.
Lou, can you tell us exactly where this piece of land that you're trying to protect is located in the Tri-Cities?
This piece of land is on Burke Mountain. The exact address is 3561 Gislason Avenue, and that land is triangulated, and the importance of that land is at the north of that land, which is triangulated by Dollar Crescent on the west, Gislason on the right, and Burke Village Promenade on the top.
Can you describe what's on that piece of land? Like, why do you want to see it protected?
Well, Nancy, I have pictures of this lot since 1948, when there was no roads in this place. And this cedar forest is pronounced with its trees as a cedar forest, and you can see the height of the trees, and is differentiated by its surroundings, by this stand in the spot. The other trees are hemlock. There's some tall firs that you can pick out of the picture, and as the space and time pictures progress, everything gets bigger, but that forest is there, and it's there for a reason, because there's a creek and an aquifer, a tropical aquifer that drains down through the mountain. And I'm pretty sure any seedling that was there, that was not a cedar, probably got too much water and died, and the crowns of those cedars took over, and forevermore they created a beautiful cedar forest. And that cedar forest is, I would say, 93–94% cedar.
Well, we know that with our changing climate that we're losing our cedars and that they're in trouble, but the cedars on this particular area are well watered. They have access to ample water, and I've actually seen them myself, and they look really healthy and thriving. We know that a lot of that mountain area is being developed and densified. Why this particular area? Why do you want to see this particular area protected?
Yeah, Nancy, I'm just going to touch about the substance of this forest. There is a spring above the cedar forest, which is directly in line with Baycrest Creek down below it. So the whole forest is supplied by water. The water is finding its way from the top of the mountain into this spring, which is also recognized by Next Environmental, that did about a 368-page report on this land, and they catalog every tree. They talk about the danger of every tree, the health of every tree, its incline or decline through its life. So we know that most of these trees are actually going to live if we just leave them alone. And I'm sorry, the second part of your question was why save this particular piece of land?
I think you've kind of answered that a little bit if you wanted to add.
I'll touch about the sort of the global picture of the northeast sector of Burke Mountain. We have to think about the urban containment boundary extending far off to the right and northeast side of Burke Mountain. And what we're creating is a hardscape between Mitchell to the west of the lot, Burke Village Promenade to the north, Baycrest Avenue down to the south, and the Gislason Avenue development that's planned between Burke Village Promenade and Baycrest it runs the whole length of it. So between Mitchell and Gislason, that will be all hardscape. And just on the other side of that is Fremont Park. And just on the other side of Fremont Park, Westbuild owns a bunch of land that they're going to put townhomes between the east side of Fremont Park and Victoria up to David. So you're talking about, and that's just a small part of northeast side of Burke Mountain that will be developed, but that will be very densified, and this park, or the intention for creating this park is paramount, because there will be pretty much no big tree left over by the time there is roofs and sidewalks and lights and roads.
Well, and we all know with our changing climate, we're getting hotter summers, and to have a place of refuge to cool down sort of that hot center, also those trees, leaving them in there, we know that there's a lot of water coming off of Burke Mountain, so we need to keep some trees to help the stormwater management. Even if we talk about mental health, you know, for people to have a place to take refuge in, I think we learned that during COVID, how people headed out to the forest for their own mental well-being. So I think you've got some pretty strong reasons for saving that land or protecting that land there. Can you talk a little bit about what you've done so far, what your efforts have been? I know you've been tenaciously campaigning to protect this area. What have you done so far to try and protect the land?
Well, the actual functional pieces of my vision and the effort are talking to council, taking council out for a walk through the forest, taking parks out into the forest. Planning department has not gone out through the forest, and I encourage them to do that, because you can't plan something, especially an all-encompassing you know, a subdivision that has to happen, and not being there, not knowing what it looks like, and how do you do that? So I don't understand. So I really encourage them to come out to see this. And you're right. I mean, the idea for having this park, there's going to be a lot of shade, and you can build a park in front of the forest at the top, with benches and everything that will, you know, give a lot of people some pause for sitting there and, you know, and relaxing in the shade when it gets hot.
It sounds like, I know you've done a lot of work to raise awareness around this particular area. Can you talk a little bit about what the current status of this land is? Like, under whose control is it right now? Is it the city? Is it does a developer own it? Like, can you fill us in a little bit on that?
Yeah, Nancy, so this is a good time for everyone to really put the extra effort to try to help to protect this forest, because this piece of land is still in the lands division of the city of Coquitlam. And so much so that since there is a creek in there, since there's an aquifer in there, since we're talking about taking this, you know, the water away from this forest by building a 6-story building in front of it, there is a lot at play, and we can all really make the city understand that, you know, if we are not giving the forest enough water, what is going to happen to this forest?
You can't just exclude that and stop the water or change the hydrology of the area. Can you talk a little bit about, I think you had some ideas, you know, like we have densification happening, we have a lot of development happening, we know we need more housing, but you had offered some suggestions, some alternatives to using this particular piece of land to keep this as a park, and then to do something else. So can you talk to us a little bit about what some of those alternatives or options might be?
Yeah, Nancy. So the city of Coquitlam has an unprecedented opportunity here to change how they're going to apply, you know, densification to this piece of land. This piece of land is going to be densified anyway. And besides that, this opportunity is not going to come again because, you know, these trees are going to survive better if we make the effort to do that. If we go along with the, you know, status quo of putting a building in front of it, the trees are going to suffer, and you can't just put a hose into a forest and make them live. So the idea here is to have still densify the area. The city of Coquitlam has proposed a 2-acre park along the side of the lots, sort of southwest along Dollar Crescent. And there's supposed to be a 2-acre park there, which runs to the top of the tributary of Baker's Creek on the left-hand side. That's the tributary B, and then you have the main creek. So the park is to run to that, and we must realize that this creek, this tributary, used to receive its aquifer and its headwater from the top of the mountain. And we put a road, which is called Dollar Crescent, right up against there, and that just goes straight to the storm drain sewer.
Diverts.
Absolutely, that creek, the tributary B is pretty much dead, and we can revive it if we follow the logic and common sense of putting a building where the park is proposed. The city of Coquitlam has a bylaw to build, you know, a multi or medium density building at, you know, 6 stories. The lot required for that is 1,100 square meters. And that happens to be something like, you know, 68 feet deep by 167 feet wide. And I've measured to the top of tributary B and to the other creek, and that seems to be about 188 feet, 180 feet along the sidewalk to the creek. Yeah, there's going to be some setback, some creek setback, but it's still, there's ample room for, you know, 68 feet, and all the infrastructure that needs to go to get that building into that spot. I've heard sentiments from the city of Coquitlam that the grade and the angle of where they want to put the park is better, it's flatter than where I want to put the park and make that integration of park and forest happen. At the top, between the sidewalk at Burke Village Promenade and the forest, it's about 125 feet from the sidewalk to the big trees where they start. That is completely flat between Gislason and Dollar Crescent, and then it undulates down a little bit. Don't kids like running down a hill or riding their bikes or something down, or, you know, in the winter or something? It's not that steep, but so with an open mind, a park that is between those Dollar Crescent streets and Gislason, that is integrated into the forest, we can also hear the sentiments of the city of Coquitlam that that area is a SPIA, which is you know, the creekside protection. It's like a riparian special. So the setback area? Well, SPIA is what you protect where there is water, right? The thing is, you could also do another measurement and see that the headwater, where Next Environmental placed the headwater and the SPIA protection area is, I don't know, 200 yards from the creek where it starts down below, and the SPIA and the headwater is not above the creek. The upwelling point that Next Environmental identified between two massive...
So you have the report that's saying this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's an upwelling point. I brought this up to the city of Coquitlam. Is above the creek, in line exactly, and it's downhill to the head of the creek down below. The creek bubbles up under a cedar tree. It's absolutely stunning. And so this is the idea, is to ask, everyone needs to ask the city of Coquitlam to place the building where it will not do damage to anything. You put the building above the forest, it will determine its fate, pretty much.
So it sounds, Lou, like you've done a lot of homework on this. It sounds like the planning department maybe needs to come out and take a look. And then what else are you asking, like just for residents of the Tri-Cities, what can they do to support your campaign to protect this area?
Well, specifically for the City of Coquitlam residents, they can go to the change.org petition. The petition is important in many ways because I can get data from change.org and see
so you know
who's signing the petitions, and those people are the voters in the City of Coquitlam. So let's get those voters sign that petition. All the information that you will ever need is on that petition. So what I'm asking is to email councillors, because they will have the ultimate decision to put votes forward according to what planning puts forward, and approve a development or change of plan, rezoning, anything like that.
So Lou, you're asking Coquitlam residents to contact their city councillors and mayor, let them know that they would like to see this area protected, and also to sign the change.org petition.
Yep. Like I say, I will get the data from there, and then when you're emailing the council, do not email them at the mayor_council email, because that email is funneled and controlled. The councillors do get their email directly through their individual councillor email. And at the same time, it would be a good idea to email myself. I like 1,000 emails in my email box.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. And then I can also work with some of those people that do email and have a bigger interest in doing some other things, sort of along the lines of, the ladder of campaigning for a cause.
Well, Lou, I'd like to thank you so much for sharing that and sharing your quest to protect a small part of Burke Mountain with some beautiful cedar trees, and something that we can enjoy for future generations, and just a really nice little refuge on the mountain. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks, Nancy. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is We've Got Issues, and we've been speaking to Lou about his quest to save a small forest on Burke Mountain. Thank you so much.